I think that I really noticed other people with a kind of apathetic view that I had.
I think most members were just very frustrated. They thought the union couldn't do anything for them. You know, they're paying their dues and they're saying, why are people getting laid off and nothing's happening? Why are our schools closing? They're being turned around and the union's not even coming out fighting.
They were against Renaissance 2010. The problem was that there wasn't really an activist culture in the union. And the key to these fights is that they were activist fights.
We were fighting like hell to stop our schools from closing. You got these parents out here fighting with all they got, and you hear nothing from labor.
The union didn't work with the community at all. It's just teachers, and if you have a problem, you file a grievance, it goes to the union. So it's a very top-down model of the union.
That's kind of the traditional relationship. All the focus is on just the conditions for the workers.
So I think it was just massive frustration by all the teachers.
And I thought that that was a realm, the union, that was a realm that didn't belong to me, that I belonged to it in a very passive way.
A group of teachers got together after a request by Jackson Potter and Al Ramirez in order to talk about what could we do about the school closings. And that's really where CORE was founded, and I was at the very first meeting of CORE, and we started to try to organize some pushback against the school closings.
The community organizations were taking the forefront in it, so we wanted to push the union in a much more activist and organizing direction.
How can we create a grassroots fight back? Because we know there are people, students, teachers, and parents who are extremely frustrated by the way they've been treated by the board and were against the school closings.
These were folks who came from the front lines. They hadn't been out the classroom for 10 years. Karen Lewis was teaching chemistry in this neighborhood, and she lives in this neighborhood. So
you are the ones who write my checks. You are the ones who give me the privilege to be in front of your children every single day.
We had a huge community of forum, and we brought people out to talk about the anticipated school closings, to talk about charter school proliferation.
Let's think about the needs of the children.
So when I saw that CORE members, how it really began was by fighting against the closures and the turnarounds. And they had actually stopped it on their own, not with help from the union. They stopped, I think it was 7 at the time, 7 closures and turnarounds, just by organic organizing and activism.
I think that I had to open my eyes when people started talking about something that hit me in the gut. And that was that these closings were only happening in neighborhoods of color.
I mean, we used to put it in the simplest terms that we want a union, we want a fighting union. We want a union that is and is seen as being for good public schools, and we want a union that the members run and is democratic.
So when we were founding CORE, we really didn't look at ourselves as an electoral caucus. We didn't have real visions of taking over the Chicago Teachers Union. Our goal was really to push the existing leadership into building an organizing model.
The old guard did the old things. And so that's when I started looking really hard at CORE. And I realized that this wasn't just an opposition caucus. In fact, it was an activist caucus that concerned itself more with the activism of education.
We had grown substantially in size. From the first meeting was less than 20 people. And then over the course of the next year, we had hundreds of members, active members, people who really believed in public education, people who really believed in the strength of unions as agents of social justice. So after maybe the first year and a half, we decided that maybe we would run a caucus.
We thought of ourselves as trying to build our network, that we didn't really think there was any real chance of winning the election.
When we decided to run, that became a big part of our work, was letting people know the work that we had done the previous year and a half or so or more to fight school closings, to protect public education. So the campaign really became about, are you with us in terms of these values? Because if you have these values, then you need this new leadership.
When we were in Mr. Brown's lounge, it was the final election, so between us and UPC.
We're going to take over our union because we want to make sure that that we don't privatize our schools the way the mayor privatized parking meters. A lot of eyes are going to be on that.
Sort of sometime around midnight, we got the call that the votes were coming in, hadn't even been finished counting, but they were coming in decisively in our favor, and we won the election that night.
The moment when we heard that we won, I remember thinking first, oh my God, this is amazing. But second, thinking, oh my God, we have so much work to do now. The work doesn't end. It was my first year teaching and still campaigning, but now, well, we're taking over the union. And that's probably going to be even more work, but it was a great feeling, and also shock, shock that CORE had only been around 2.5 years.